We're at Tatton Park in Cheshire. A lot of people inquire where our locations are. We like to get out and about in the summer. This is a beautiful 18th century mansion. Used to belong to Lord Egerton. And we're in the gardens, the rear of the house. Fantastic gardens. But today we're going to talk about something across the Atlantic. Donald Trump. Now, he's under fire, severe fire. He's getting a lot of criticism for his comments about the Congresswoman Omar from Somalia, well, from Minnesota, via Somalia, and he criticised her and her comments and said if she doesn't like America, she can go back to where she came from. Donald Trump broke the 4 rules of political correctness when he made those comments. The first rule, of course, is that white people cannot criticise black people or people of colour. People of colour have got protected status and they've got to be seen as constantly as victims, regardless of what they say or what they do. This is the left-wing, politically correct paradigm we inhabit. And Donald Trump, a white male, criticised a coloured lady. She was a female. This is the second rule of political correctness that Donald Trump broke. We're not, as men, allowed to criticise what used to be called the weaker sex. It's now the empowered sex, the victims, women. I mean, there's a lot of women out there. I mean, more than half the population. To portray them as victims is a bit difficult. But again, especially in the political arena, Trump has got to defer to the woman and understand that she is making a breakthrough for womanhood. She's a feminist, you know. And Trump, by criticising her, has broken that second rule of political correctness. Thou shalt not criticise a woman if you're a man. But he also stepped on the third rule of political correctness. He criticised an immigrant. He is a native of America, a nativist. He is not allowed to criticise immigrants. Immigrants have got to be treated with sensitivity, regardless of what they do, even if they're criminals, even if they've illegally entered the country. They're given exalted status by the left. So Trump was not supposed to criticise an immigrant. Never mind, say, if you don't like the country, you're free to go home. That was way outside. As Boris Johnson said, that went out of fashion decades ago, those sorts of comments, even though they're as relevant now as they've always been. But then he committed the ultimate sin. He broke the 4th rule of political correctness. As a Christian, he's a Presbyterian, he criticised Islam. He criticised a Muslim woman. It's Islamophobia. Islamophobia has been defined by the United Nations as a form of racism. Christians are not allowed to criticise Muslims. Muslims, again, have this protected status, like people of colour, like women, like immigrants. They've got to be treated with kid gloves. They've got to be seen as victims all the time. Even if, I mean, the Christians literally have to put their head on the block for Muslims. If the Muslims chop off a Christian head, it's our fault for bombing them in the first place. If a Muslim attacks a Christian, in Britain we've had hundreds of thousands of English children raped, groomed first, then raped, then drugged, then prostituted by Muslim gangs. But it was allowed to happen because it would have been racist to interfere in their cultural activities. I mean, even the Home Secretary, Jackie Smith, said that these girls were, they were acquiescing in this. They decided to take part in it. She advised the police, as Home Secretary, not to engage in this interaction between Muslim grooming gangs. We've granted equality to the sexes. This was all granted by white males, indigenous peoples of America and Europe. We granted equality to immigrants who'd arrived and never contribute anything to our societies. We give them equality under the law. We give them equal access to all our welfare services. We give now equality in religious terms and in legal terms to Islam. Islam does not respect that equality. Islam believes in the superiority of Sharia law. So where are we heading on this? We've actually given the hand of friendship and it's been bitten. It's been bitten. by those who've received it. And instead of simply accepting us as equals, we're now condemning white males. White Christian males are the enemy. They are the people that are being targeted for destruction. And Trump, by breaking the 4 rules of political correctness, has released this tiger of political correctness. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, she said that Trump, his whole goal was to make America white again. The emphasis was on the word white. It was a negative term. Whites once ruled America, they don't rule it now, and they shouldn't rule it in the future. They should accept that they're being pushed out and marginalised. Simply asserting that whites have the right to make statements about the nature of politics in America, this is now termed white nationalism. Whites are supposed to shut up and put up with whatever attack is put upon them. With whatever status they lose, whatever criticism is made of them, they've just got to accept it. We are told what's happening with the Trump administration is that it's a whitelash, it's a backlash against black empowerment. That the whites can, if you're white, you can't assert yourself anymore. You can't stand up and hold your ground. You've just got to give ground constantly. Now, if left-wingers want to do this, that's up to them. If the feminists want to do this, it's up to them. But by constantly denigrating white people, they're putting white children in a very vulnerable situation. In the schools now, young lads are made to feel somehow guilty for being white males. It's very sick what's happening, and it's causing a lot of confusion in our youth. And we need a response to this. We need to break the stranglehold of political correctness on our culture. This is why Trump is so important, because he is challenging this politically correct paradigm, this pattern of thinking and behaviour which has put white people in chains now in the West, and has enabled a tidal wave of third world immigrants to come into our countries, take our wealth and be empowered to take control of our institutions. We have to stand up and say this is not on, this is not democratic what's happening. The good thing about Trump is when the politically correct thought police pounce upon him and try and stick all these negative labels upon him, racist, xenophobe, Islamophobe, etc., he doesn't buckle. He stands his ground and he fights back and he pushes back, and invariably he wins because he's standing on solid ground. He's saying basically, look, this is the way God made us. We're white, we're males. We're not going to apologise for that. This is the way God has made us. We're people, we're Christians, and we run our societies. We have created America, we have created Europe. They belong to us, and no one has a right to come and take them off us. Trump is reasserting the ownership of American people and European people of their own nations. And when these people like Congresswoman Amar come in and constantly vilify America and speak up for their enemies of America, like Al-Qaeda, which she glorifies, and when they sort of dismiss violent attacks on America, when she said like 9/11 was just some people doing something to somebody else. No, it wasn't. It was mass murder of Americans by Muslim activists, by Muslim terrorists. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable that these women support what's going on. This hatred of America and this vile attack upon America. These social justice warriors must be faced down and they must be defeated. And thank God for Donald Trump. He's got the guts, the balls to do it. I mean, in Britain, we've seen the Conservatives. Boris Johnson said, these comments haven't been heard for decades. And Jeremy Hunt brought in his children in a melodramatic manner, said, my children are mixed race, who would send them? There was nothing to do with that. They were going off on tangents and false dialogue. And even Theresa May said Donald Trump's comments were inappropriate. Inappropriate because she surrendered to political correctness. The Tory party in Britain has surrendered to political correctness. Thank God there are people like Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Matteo Salvini, who've come back, standing up for their people and their nations, and are going to take control again. We've got to smash the paradigm of political correctness once and for all. We've got to liberate our nations. We're under a form of oppression as white people under this cultural Marxism, political correctness. We won't accept this oppression. It's time to liberate our nations under the auspices of Donald Trump. Godspeed, Donald. We're looking for funds, really, to promote this work that we're doing. So if you support us and you want to invest in this battle to save our nation, there's a PayPal link in the description. If you can, please make a donation. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Ring the bell as well so you get a notification of any future videos we make. We're turning out 2, 3, 4 videos a week now, and we're going to keep on this battle until we win. Thank you.